in the year after you do that apply, do you account for that 30 or 40% that didn't get taken up the first year?
To an extent, it depends on the crop we're putting in, but generally that's where, we'll make that investment. For instance, last year we put down a tremendous amount of lime on all of our fields, a big expense. It was 15 or 20 semi-loads for all the ground. And, we're going to take that step this year, and we won't have to do that for 2 or 3 years really with what we're doing, because we're trying to minimize things like anhydrous, different synthetic fertilizers with high salts, things like that are going to alter that pH to a large extent. And so, a lot of what we do is certainly figuring that in, but also doing regular soil sampling. So we aren't just, as much as I'd love to say I sit down and do the math of this tunnel, every year of like what's still in the soil, it's like just pull a damn soil sample and see where we're at. Because as much as you want to sit down and do the calculations on a piece of paper of how many pounds of tomatoes you pulled out or the growth of your plants, it's just much easier to pull that soil sample, but make sure that you're not skimping on feeding your soil. Another thing we'll do in all of our tunnels, and then what we do on our row crops, is we'll do mycorrhizae through our starter fertilizer. And so conventional or organic, we'll be running micronutrients, mycorrhizae, different inoculants and stuff in our starter fertilizer on our planters as we're going, because what's the worst that could happen? It helps the soil. I mean, none of it's going to be detrimental to our soil. We don't use any anhydrous on any field. Urea and starter fertilizer, dry fertilizers on the conventional side certainly cost a little bit more dollars, more money per unit of N. But I hate the fact of thinking about, an 8-inch strip every 30 inches is getting burned by the application of anhydrous. Literally just burn. That's stupid. When we can do it a different way that costs a little bit more, we end up having a better plant, in my opinion, with a lower cost ultimately, because we aren't having to put on as much fertilizer in the long run, because we've got a healthier soil that's more accessible to the plants. And we have worms, a lot of worms.